Hello everyone, myself Rajendra Lamkhede, Associate Professor, College of Nursing, Loni. So herewith we are discussing the very important topic in geriatric or elderly point of view, that is the challenges of caring for elderly. Senior citizens, a person who is age of 60 years or above will be considered as elderly. If you see the emerging scenario of the geriatrics or the elderly populations, so currently we have 600 million elderly worldwide. Majority live in developing countries like India and China. India has 100 million elderly, expected to raise 323 million by 2050. By 2050, India and China will have 80% of the world's elderly populations. Challenges posed by aging, failing health, financial insecurity, existing gap in responses, caregiver burden, insecurity of life, isolation, negligence, lowered self esteem, abuse, lack of preparedness for old age. So these are the challenges which are facing by the country in relations to aging. Challenges in point of failing health. 80% of the elderly have at least one chronic illness. 8.1 million are blind in India, out of which 6.5 million is due to cataract. All the times when we see the cases in the hospital, especially in the units of opthal, we used to see that most of the geriatrics, most of the aged people will have the problem of cataract and glaucoma. So here in India, if you see that the 8.1 million are blind with this kind of problems. Over 10% of India's elderly suffers from depression. Maybe they are not considered in decision making, negligence from the caregivers, and due to that this 10% of India elderly suffer from depressions. Chronic illness often involve in the pain, functional limitations, and needs long term care. It has impact on quality of life and the cost in healthcare economics. More than 50% of elderly requires psychiatric and psychological interventions. So psychological support is equally important when we talk about the aging, because the more than 50% populations will have the problem of psychiatric or psychological problems. Need health, regular assessment and screening of elderly is important. Focus on preventive measures of disease, render a quality health care to aging, ensure timely and regular medical care. So regularly we have to have the checkup of aging is important. Have control over their diet. We have to provide appropriate and the adequate amount of diet to aging. Consume variety of foods every day. Follow the prescribed exercise strictly. We have to plan certain exercises to aging or the geriatrics. Maintain calmness of mind through yoga and meditations. So this is the important interventions for the geriatrics, that is yoga and meditation, so that we can preserve the health. Provide a community or home based disability supports. Provide end of life care in holistic manner, so complete care to be given to the geriatrics. Conduct research related to the geriatric disease, so that evidence based practice can be done. Next challenge is the financial insecurity. Majority, that is 70% of the agings depends on others for their daily maintenance. Most 85% of elderly females was economically dependent either partially or fully. 51% of elderly in rural and 57% of elderly in urban area are totally dependent on others financially. Among wage or salary employees, about 79% in rural areas and 35% in urban areas do not receive any benefits on their retirement. Pension provided by the state government is inadequate to meet their requirements. Economically dependent elderly men financially supported by their children 85%, spouses 6 to 7%, grandchildren 2%, and others 6%. Maybe certain NGOs who are working for the geriatrics, they help for the 6%. Economically dependent elderly women financially supported by spouses 20%, children 70%, grandchildren 3%, others 7%. So old age dependency ratio climbed from 10.9% in 1961 to 13.1% in 2001. So hardly 3% it increased. What is the need for financial deficit of aging? So economic security is important for the geriatrics for aging. Here is important to facilitate to generate the adequate income, encourage and support elderly to be engaged in economically productive activities, provide partial or full social welfare grants to the incapable elderly people, encourage the families and communities to support elderly via counseling and local self-governance. Challenge 3, existing gaps in response. Only less than 3% of GDP spent on health. WHO guidelines 5 to 6%. Inadequate healthcare facilities for the elderly. Chronic disease are not addressed adequately. Economic security cover is not available to most elderly people. Loss of family structure and informal support. So is again important, we have to focus, that is WHO guidelines say that 5 to 6% only put on their health. Inadequate healthcare facilities for the elderly is again the important challenge. Chronic disease are increasing among the aging, and economic security is not full-fledged towards elderly people. Economic insecurity, loss of regular assured income, emotional insecurity, void in life, loss of spouse, friends, relatives. Why this is happening? Because the family is not supporting to elderly, and due to this the emotional insecurity is the important challenge here. Declining health accompanied with advancing age, independence or inadequate constant care in extreme cases of cancer, Alzheimer's patients, because this cancer and Alzheimer problem is very common in above 65 years of age. So is important to consider here as a challenge. Palliative and the home care, to make sure that those who can't be cured are at least made comfortable. What we can do? Need bridge and the gaps. Improve the healthcare services and facilities. So that can be done for the geriatrics. Provide rehabilitation services for elderly with debilitating disease. Improve present health insurance scheme as per the requirement of senior citizen. Regularize a uniform policy on all insurance companies. Offer whole life coverage to elderly. Increase the number of centers that provide support like physiotherapy, psychological counseling to the geriatrics, etc. Design the hospital and the public blinding building conducive to the use of disabled elderly. Have a department of rehabilitation and geriatrics in every hospital. Emphasize on inclusion of elderly care under NRHM. Provide better health services and facilities at primary health centers and district hospitals with specialty services. Have a chronic and terminal care ward in every medical college or hospital. have a separate ward for every discipline, medicine, surgery, ENT, etc. for geriatrics, establish at least one geriatric hospitals with good facilities in each district for a geriatric care, organize a periodic health camps for checkup and treatment of infirm and disabled elderly, perform referral services for specialty care. Challenges 4. Caregiver burden. Family members provide nearly 82% of necessary care for elderly. A significant increase in caregiver burden who provide care for elderly. Caregivers often experience higher incidence of disease and disabilities like stress, depression, and physical illness. Often face decision making problems for placing loved ones in long term care facilities. What we can do to overcome with this challenge? Need reduced burden in caregivers. We have to have the nutrition educations to reduce the stress and maintain a health and the well-being of the aging. Education and individual counseling to them. Get help from others. Spread of the responsibility. Learn and practice coping strategies. Develop problem solving abilities among them. Take care of their health. Join a support groups, NGOs who are helping, who are working for the geriatrics. Challenge 5, that is insecurity of life. Elderly, one of the most vulnerable groups in the society. So if they are insecure of their life, elderly depends service providers to manage their activities. They are exposed to risk when unknown person attend to their needs, assault, murder, or loss their valuables. Examples like dementia, which affects the senior loss, lot of vulnerable when they operate their bank works and use credit cards or ATM cards. So insecurity of life is again the challenge among elderly. So what we can do it to overcome with this challenge? The security of life is important, that is precautionary measures for security of life. Keep thoroughly checked reliable servant at home for them to give appropriate care to elderly. Live near with relatives and friends so that they can look after the elderly appropriately. Have the phone numbers of family, friends, relatives, doctors, and lawyer to reach in times of need. Fix high technology locks and grill gates in the needy places wherever they need. Maintain good relationship with the neighborhoods. Arrange a caterer who will supply food as per the need of seniors to avoid cooking hazards. Keep all the relevant documents and valuables in the safety lockers. So when the geriatrics needs. Challenge 6, that is isolation. Isolation or loneliness is the common problems or the common complaints which we received, which we heard from the elderly. Childless and the spouseless elderly and seniors with NRI children are forced to live alone. Elderly prefer to live alone if they find difficulty to adjust with the family and who want to live with dignity and independence. So this is again the important challenge. Most of the times which we see this, often imposed purposefully by the families or the communities, leads to deteriorations of quality of life. So what remedies or the solutions which we take it to overcome with these problems? That is inclusion. Elderly must feel inclusiveness both in family and in society. So they have to consider all the times in decision and all the activities of family, even though the society has to accept them. Counsel the individual or families appropriately about the problems of geriatrics. Create awareness and sensitize the community. The important factor of the society is the geriatrics. Directly involve the elderly in day-to-day activities. Consult the elderly for decision making, and this is lacking all the time. So we have to consult them whenever we want to take a major decision or the minor decision in the family. So take their opinions. Challenge 7, the negligence. Elderly who are weak or dependent requires physical, mental, emotional care and support. When this is not provided, they suffer from neglect. Reasons for neglect by family is changing lifestyle and values, demanding jobs, a shift to nuclear family structure, distractions such as televisions. So these are the reasons. Because of these reasons, the family neglects geriatrics. So what solutions or how to overcome with this challenge? The care is must in the form of healthy nutrition supplements, treatment for the medical problems, educate and counsel the family about geriatrics, sensitize the community leaders and address the issues at all levels so that they will be benefited with certain level of certain schemes. Disseminate the information via print and audiovisual medias. Non-governmental organization plays a significant role in solving the issues of geriatrics. In extreme situation, legal action and rehabilitation may require to reduce or prevent serious consequences. Challenge 8, lowered self-esteem is the again important challenge among elderly. The factors which are contributing low esteem system among geriatrics, that is isolation, negligence or the neglects, decrease in value or warmth by oneself, changes in health status, changes in role and activities and lifestyle of the geriatrics, dependency, often associated with the depression and anxiety and somatizations. So what remedies can be done to overcome with this challenge? The self-confidence we have to make it among geriatrics. Identify and address the cause and try to remove it. Be assertive in social situation and at home. Encourage the elderly to take part in the family and community activities. Perform regular physical exercises. Provide individual family counseling. Encourage in spiritual care activities. Give praise whenever appropriate and avoid criticism and negativity among geriatrics. Next challenge is the abuse. Elderly are highly vulnerable to abuse by family members or relatives. More vulnerable for physical abuse is very common. Their resources, including finance, are often misused. In addition, the elderly may suffer from emotional and mental abuse for various reasons in different ways. Need to overcome with this challenge is the protection. So best way of this challenge is to protection from abuse is to prevent it. Generate the awareness in families and in the communities regarding the abuse. Create awareness among elderly on their rights. So whatever the rights in relations to their field or geriatrics, so those awareness to be created among them. If necessary, take legal action against those who abuse elderly along with counseling. Provide counseling and rehabilitative services to abused elderly. Adopt stress reduction practices. Reduce the risk of abuse. Challenge 10, lack of preparedness for old age. Majority of the people enter old age with little or no awareness. There is almost no formal awareness program for people to prepare for old age. For the last majority of people, old age sets in quietly and only few are prepared to deal with its issues. The majority of Indians are unaware of the rights and the entitlements of elderly people. So what remedies or what measures which we can take it to prevent this challenge among geriatrics. So preparedness of old age is important to generate the awareness in workplaces by the Department of HRD, prepare the employees to face retirement and old age issues, create awareness through media, government offices, by the NGOs, promote awareness on concept of health aging and health problems, pay special attention for people of 45 to 50 years of age and women, steps for healthy aging, control your blood pressure, control your cholesterol, control your weight, perform exercise, stop smoking and drinking if you have the habit of smoking and drinking, follow preventive measures to go on to help them. This is important because the comorbid illnesses are the common among the geriatrics. So controlling of blood pressure, cholesterol, weight is equally important, and always motivating the geriatrics to go for the certain level of exercises. Thank you. So this is about the challenges and the solutions for those challenges to overcome for geriatrics. Thank you.